2017.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then I'm always going to the presentation of the Bayanihan
Oh, yes.
at CCP.
Oh, yes. Yes, the Bayanihan.
Yeah, and then last year I'm invited Bayanihan to presentation in front of the our celebration,
Oh, okay.
national celebration. That
Yes.
is very beautiful.
Yeah. I hope the pandemic will be over so that I can visit the museum that you are saying.
Yeah, but it is I mean, it is open until afternoon from the morning. But
Okay.
because, and then you found angklung, you found historical traditional music from Mindanao, and then from the Vietnam, from Korea, something like that.
Oh, okay. We hope to visit Indonesia also in the future.
Oh yeah. But if you want to visit a museum, several museum now we have
Okay.
online. If you want to going to museum, for example, at the Central Java, you just
Uh-huh.
open online museum, and then all of the part of museum you can see using online.
Oh, yes.
I will give you the link.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah, 5 museum in Indonesia already have online, and then you just put your finger, and then you are scroll everywhere you are to going, and
Yeah.
then they give explanation. This what the name, and then what the place and historical of the art and everything.
Yes. I've been to Jakarta in the past.
Mm.
My husband taught in Okrida. Are you
Yeah,
familiar?
Ida is not
That?
far from my home.
Ah,
Jakarta
really?
Barat, yeah.
Yes.
In of the Trail Rumah Negara.
Yes. It was several years ago.
Okay,
Uh, they helped the what doctors to have residency training in LaSalle in Las Marinas.
okay.
Okay. So that was few years ago. Now they are specialists already. They're
Yes.
done.
And the chancellor is my friend. We are together take doctoral degree in the
Ah,
University of Jakarta. Yes,
Okrida. Okay.
Vida.
I'm texting my other friends to join.
But right now, Ukrida Hospital or Ukrida Faculty of Doctor is very famous now,
Ah, really?
because they have a lot of graduation, and then the graduation is already working in several area in Indonesia.
Oh, very good.
And I know from the chancellor, Ukrida right now, the hospital or the graduation from the doctor is
Mhm.
very famous.
Oh, really? The last time we were there, they were still building the hospital. So
Mm,
I'm glad that it's finished by now.
yes, already finished.
Okay.
Because last year, every month I'm going to Jakarta, because I have a lot of activity in Jakarta and then
Mhm.
Indonesia. I
No.
make a seminar international. I make a visit school or in Indonesian camp, something like that.
Okay.
Okay, that is what time now? 9 o'clock. Okay, Mbak Mina Manet, kita mulai saja.
Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi untuk semuanya. First, we would like to welcome all the speakers and also the participants for today's webinar with the theme Focusing on Nursing Practice Despite the Health Crisis. Kami ingin mengucapkan selamat bergabung kepada semua peserta yang dari Indonesia pada acara webinar kita pagi hari ini dengan tema Focusing on Nursing Practice Despite the Health Crisis. Before we start this program, may I ask everyone to please pause for a while and stand for the singing of the national anthem of Indonesia and Philippines, and to be followed by the doxology in Islam and Christian. Kepada semua peserta, kami mohon untuk bangkit berdiri. Kita akan menyanyikan lagu kebangsaan Indonesia Raya dan juga lagu kebangsaan Filipina, dan akan dilanjutkan dengan doa-doa secara Islam dan doa secara Kristen. Terima kasih.
Indonesia tanah air, tanah tumpah darah. Di sanalah aku berdiri, jadi pandu hidup. Indonesia kebangsaan, bangsa yang tanah air. Marilah kita bersatu, Indonesia bersatu. Hiduplah tanahku, hiduplah negeriku, bangsaku, rakyatku semuanya. Bangunlah jiwanya, bangunlah badannya, untuk Indonesia Raya. Indonesia Raya merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang ku cinta. Indonesia Raya merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia Raya. Indonesia Raya merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang ku cinta. Indonesia Raya merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia Raya.
Doa sebelum belajar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi zidni ilman warzuqni fahma. Artinya, ya Allah, tambahkanlah aku ilmu dan berikanlah aku rizki akan kepahaman.
you so much. You may take your seats. And now to officially open this webinar, we would like to request the Education and Culture Attaché of the Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia to give us the opening remarks.
Thank you, Mbak Manet. Good morning, everybody. Selamat pagi, magandang umaga. My Honorable Miss Fides F. Adiviso, the Honorable Gilbert C. Baksik is true, and the Honorable Mr. Christopher Senemis, all of the speaker today, and then all of the participants from Indonesia and from Philippines. Today is we are the second time we are making virtual nursing course. At the first time is Monday and Tuesday, and it is the second time. Why I make it a virtual nursing course? Because I want to all of the nursing from Indonesia is learning with the nursing from Philippines, and then we are make collaboration and deeply know about the knowledge from nursing in Philippines, because nursing in Philippines is more higher the competencies compared for another countries. And then I hope this virtual nursing course is valuable for the nursing from Indonesia and nursing from Philippines. And I need more collaboration between nursing Indonesia and nursing Philippines, because a lot of nursing in Indonesia, they want to working at the abroad, but maybe they not passing if they are take NCLEX or NCLEX examination. And I hope today they have a lot of experience, a lot of implementation for they are for the material today. Thank you very much. Dengan mengucapkan Bismillah, saya buka acara hari ini. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Terima kasih. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so much, Ibu Lily Nurlaili. So today our virtual nursing course with the theme Focusing on Nursing Practice Despite the Health Crisis is now officially opened. To begin our first session, our first speaker for today is not other than the Education and Culture Attaché of the Republic of Indonesia, Ibu Lily Nurlaili. You may start your presentation.
Okay, thank you. All of the speaker, I just the first give a explanation about learning in nursing practice in Indonesia. This is just alternative if the activity using telenursing. Education during pandemic COVID is per virtual basis, based on digital technology, study from home, online learning, proposal trial online, submission of course result via email, graduation online, inauguration of professor and chancellor online, internship practice online, research online, and more than 185 countries in the world close school. But from the Monday, several schools in Indonesia, basic education, I mean is senior, high school, and then several university already open, but only 8%. Okay, fun learning new habits, because several activity is already open, and then Ministry of Education, special is Director General Higher Education, they have new regulation from Ministry Education. May enter campus for research in the laboratory, for thesis, dissertation thesis, laboratory work, practicum, studio, workshop, similar academic activities. Don't forget to join the health protocol. Make sure you don't have a fever. Don't cough, not runny nose. Don't catch your breath. using 3-layer non-medical masks. Bring your own supplies, cutlery, sanitary liquid hands, dirty mask containers, personal stationery. Some important thing that must be considered. Must keep distance of 1.5 meters. Must use your own helmet if riding a motorcycle. On the train or bus is prohibited from talking including calling. Some important thing that must be considered. Must keep distance one and including okay is the same. Arriving on campus, wash your hand with soap with running water before entering the lecture hall. Come home from college straight home, not going anywhere or going to mall or to supermarket. Come home from college right home, and then after college clean your body before physically interacting with others at home. Eat with nutritious food, do clean and healthy life behavior. Nursing can also learning using telenursing. This is just only the several activity if the nursing not face-to-face activity. Telenursing is using in America, Greece, Israel, Japan, Italy, Denmark, Netherlands, Norway, Jordan, India, and Malaysia. The American Nurse Organization in 1999 is very old, recommend the development of comprehensive analysis of the use of telenursing. At the time, maybe 1999, they not imagine like this, not to face classroom. In the United States, 36% increase in the need for home care nurses in the next 7 years can be overcome by telenursing. And in other countries reported to have used telecommunication services at home or home care with telenursing. Long distance nursing using information technology media or internet provide convenience for the community. The public or patient doesn't need to come to the hospital. Doctor or nurse to get health services. The time needed for health services is also getting shorter. Patients can only be at home and make contact via the internet or via video conversion to get health information, care, and even treatment. Many other benefits when we are use technology in remote nursing services or telenursing, included effective and efficient in terms of nursing costs with minimal resources. It can increase the scope and range of nursing services without geographical boundaries, can reduce the number of visits and length of stay in hospital, can be utilized in the field of nursing education, distance learning model, and the development of health informatic-based nursing research. Telenursing can also be used in campuses with video conferencing, online learning, and multimedia distance learning. In addition, electronic telecommunication is the best access to educational opportunities. New method of documentation, improve access to information, developing decision-making capabilities that can help make changes in the professionalization of nurses. The practice of long distance nursing or telenursing in Indonesia has not been as developed as in developed countries such as America or Australia. The use of telenursing in Indonesia is still limited to educational in several government and private universities. In providing nursing care remotely, it requires a general health policy or integrated, that's regulated practice, SOP or standard operating procedures, ethic and professionalism, safety, patient confidentiality, and guaranteed information provided. Telenursing activities must be integrated with strategies and policies for developing nursing practice, providing nursing care service and nursing education and training system that use health based internet-based information model. The implementation of telenursing in Indonesia is still not going well due to the limited human resources, the limited facilities, and the infrastructure, as well as the lack of support for telenursing from the government. Concern with this telenursing is the absence of direct interaction between nurses and client, which will reduce the quality of health services. This concern arises because they assume direct contact with patient is very important, especially for emotional support and therapeutic touch. While another disadvantage of telenursing is the possibility of technological failure, increasing the risk of the security and confidentiality of client documents. To anticipate the limitation of the implementation of telenursing, it can be started with simple equipment such as telephone that is widely owned by the community but is still not widely used for the benefit of health services or nursing services. Telenursing uses this telephone can be applied in emergency department and home care. And then that's enough. Thank you. Maraming salamat. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Ibu Lili. Thank you so much Ibu Lili for your presentation. And now to our participants, if you have any question, you may type it in the Q&A. Kepada peserta kita, jika ada pertanyaan bisa diketikkan di bagian Q&A. Kami berikan waktu, we will give you time if you have any question regarding the presentation of Ma'am Lili Nurlaili. Okay, so if there's no question as of now, we will proceed to our next speaker. For the next speaker, he is the Chief of the Nursing Service Department of San Antonio Medical Center of Lipa, Mr. Christopher C. Nemis, MANRN. To Sir Christopher, you may start your presentation.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I will share my presentation. Okay, magandang umaga. So, nurses, ladies and gentlemen, so it is an honor for me to be part as one of the guest speaker for this webinar entitled Focusing on Nursing Practice Despite the Health Crisis. With the current issues and trends all over the country, healthcare workers and its nursing practice are now facing a big challenge in delivering quality care, safe, and effective. To begin with, my name is Christopher Nemis, registered nurse and a graduate of Master of Arts in Nursing, major in Nursing Administration. I am now currently employed as a chief nurse of San Antonio Medical Center of Lipa here in the Insight on empowering nursing practice. So empowerment is a term that has come into common usage in nursing. That term have been used extensively in the nursing literature related to administration and management. It is also highly relevant to the domain of clinical practice. In this session, the learning objectives are first, and second, to learn strategies to help empower nurses. In a given situation in 2003, according to Potter Grady, the challenges of nursing profession and nursing are to be highly competent, innovative, have leadership potential, and demonstrate flexibility in adapting to changes. So this is throughout their functions and professional relationship. So health work environment channel their energy to foster encouragement and empowerment by their nurses. So this is to give quality and excellence to be successful in delivering patient care outcomes. So I can say that quality care is inevitable. So regardless of the healthcare setting, nursing leaders in an employment setting or in a professional organization exercise power in professional judgment in their day-to-day activities. So it is simply means that power is authority over others. So the question is, what is nursing empowerment? So before I start to give the meaningful definition of my topic, I will share a video clip. But this is, to be clear, this is not to promote an independent company or a single product, but this video is intended for informational and educational purposes only. Now, let's watch this video. Okay, there is no sound. Sir Gilbert, can you please assist me?
No sound, sir.
So there's a technical.
Hello, Sir Toffer. Hello, sir.
Yes. So
Sir, I
can
think
you please assist me?
yes, I think you can click, sir,
Yes, sir.
the upper portion of the screen, and then you can find their share computer sound on your screen, on your upper screen, sir.
Mute stop video. Where?
On the view option, sir.
How?
At the view
The view
options.
option.
Yes, sir. At the upper part of Zoom.
Can you please assist me, Miss? Upper part of the Zoom.
I cannot control it.
But I think it will do, sir, since it has a
Computer sound.
subtitle already. The video has subtitle. I think it will do, sir.
Is it clear?
During the Ebola
Yes.
outbreak,
Yes, sir. It can be heard now. Thank you.
I can hear you, Topher. It's okay.
just a treat.
Is it
Until a
clear?
student nurse used what she had on hand.
Okay. Thank you, thank you.
Until a nurse introduced sanitary practices still in use today. scourge of discovered that movement and physical therapy had far better results. In the 1950s, jaundice was a leading cause of infant death, until a nurse found that a few hours of sunlight could actually cure the condition. At the dawn of the AIDS epidemic, no one knew how the disease spread, so patients were kept quarantined and alone, until nurses defied convention and embraced them with compassion. During the Ebola outbreak, the disease was thought by many to be too contagious to treat, until a student nurse used what she had on hand, garbage bags and duct tape, to protect herself so she could care for others. And cerebral palsy robbed many patients of their ability to speak, until a nurse gave them back their voices. And I will always be grateful to her.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so that's it. So throughout history, nurses have brought innovation to patient care. So that has been profoundly changed in human health. So nurses change life, and that all, it changes everything. So going back, what is the empowerment in nursing? So empowerment is a practice of sharing information, rewards, and power with employees so that they can take initiative and make decisions to solve problems and improve service and performance. So empowerment is based on the idea that giving the employees resources, authority, opportunity, motivation, as well as holding them responsible and accountable for outcomes of their actions. It will also contribute to the competence and satisfaction. So according to Leavitt, Mason, and Whelan in 2012, empowerment is a process of exercising one's own power to facilitate the participation of others in decision making and taking action so they are easy to exercise power. Furthermore, being empowered means that you have the ability to effectively motivate and mobilize yourself and others. This is to accomplish positive outcomes in your nursing practice and working environment. So nursing empowerment is instilling a sense of a power. So by granting decision-making authority and creating opportunities to influence decision in providing ability to make choices by nurses. Also, empowerment in working place provides the chances to learn and grow through the active information sharing, support, opportunity, and advancement and resources. So what is the purpose of nursing empowerment? First is to empower nurses in decision making in relation to patients' healthcare needs. Also, to demonstrate autonomy and assertive in problem-solving approach towards patient care. And last is to empower nurses in protecting patients' rights. So moreover, nursing empowerment has a great contribution in delivering quality care. In this framework, it shows that nursing leaders should remove conditions of powerlessness and also enhance job-related self-efficacy among nursing staff. These two variables have a great contribution in the perception of empowerment, which can result in the effectiveness and satisfaction in delivering quality patient care. Moreover, can you tell us something on how do we empower nurses in this time of health crisis? So with the global health crisis on COVID-19 pandemic, the nursing leaders should motivate and empower the nursing staff. All healthcare workers nowadays and frontliners are experiencing challenges and sacrifice in the nursing profession. So with this, I will show another video clip related to empowering nurses in nursing practice.
To nurses on the front line, your passion, courage, and perseverance to develop innovative solutions in the midst of the COVID-19 crisis has inspired us all. When PPE was scarce, a nurse leader sprang into action and used layers of surgical draping and air conditioner filters to create a mask designed with high filtration efficiency. A team of nurses piloted and proved that putting IV pumps outside patients' rooms could help preserve PPE. A nurse repurposed items like a bike helmet harness and a tablet screen protector to create a powered air purifying respirator. Knowing that proning patients could help improve oxygenation, a nurse created an interdisciplinary proning team that trained over 80 staff members in 3 days. And when families were prevented from visiting loved ones in the hospital, a team of nurses implemented a tool to help connect family members to nurses and doctors. At Johnson & Johnson, we will never stop advocating for, elevating, and empowering nurses as innovative, critical leaders on the front line. Nurses change lives, and that changes everything.
Okay, so that's it. It shows that nurses are designed to enhance the image of nursing profession. Nursing leaders also need to recruit and train new nurses in order to help to retain the nurses in the current system. So nurses change life and it changes everything. But as a leader, how can we empower nurses? So first is to provide leadership and development. So experts says that leadership skills can be learned through effective training programs. Also, involvement of among nursing staff in shared decision-making in the hospital operation is important. So by giving nurses a voice in the hospital decision-making, it can offer a great sense of inclusions and also the appreciation. What are the common tasks to improve the ability to be empowered? First is enhancing leadership skills. The second is be a positive change agent. So nurses should be encouraged to participate in leadership and management internship program. Many healthcare organizations encourage nurses to participate in organizational committee to make this development health policies that impact nursing job responsibilities and practice. So for example, excuse me, nurses should consider enrolling in leadership in continuing educational classes such as master's degree. The second is be a positive change agent. So evaluate the environment to find areas for improvement that will increase the efficiency of working area, heighten job role satisfaction, or improve patient outcomes. So considering for committee the hospital, committee allows nurses to collaborate to accomplish specific tasks, such as initiating a new protocol for a procedure that will improve patient safety and system efficiency. This is also resolve knowledge deficit and increase nurses' workplace satisfaction. Moving on with the strategies to empower nurses, it can also increase the patient satisfaction. So a key contribute to burnout in nurses' dissatisfaction is that they often feel underrepresented in the organization and in their role in patient care. So as frontliner or caregiver, nurses have direct knowledge of the practice and drive patient satisfaction. they also need to be empowered so that they voice these insights to administrators. This is one of the simple way to give nurses a voice. This is to actively involve them and seek them out for their feedbacks. The second is give nurses control. So a nurse's perception that he or she has a control over the professional practice, processes, and care given at work promote engagement and empowerment. So studies have found that active participation in organization decision making have been found to be connected to higher levels of work efficiency and decreased level of exhaustion when nurses are given the power to meet the patients as they see fit. They will more actively engage nurses and patient. Moving on, what is the secret of effective nurse leader? And the answer is empowerment. Exactly, the empowerment. So nursing empowerment is essential for giving quality care and quality improvement. So creating an empowered team is a vital nurse leadership function. So that can significantly influence staff morale, productivity, staff retention, and associated costs, patient care quality, and patient safety. And also, expecting and receiving the quality healthcare is the basic human right of the client. Nursing empowerment facilitate also nurses in delivering quality care to the clients. And to summarize my assigned topic, here are some key points. So the importance of empowerment in nursing is that nurses will feel or should feel that they have the power to authorize their job, satisfaction in their job, and feel appreciated. Besides, they will feel less worn out also in their work. It also enhances the patient care, good outcomes. In contrast, a powerless nurse is an ineffective nurse, which is powerless nurses have more job strain compared to empowered nurses. This is the cause of burnout in work. Moreover, powerless nurses are less satisfied with the job and more susceptible to burnout and depersonalization. So lack of nursing power may also contribute to poorer patient outcomes. Alternatively, this empowerment or the inability to act creates feeling of frustration and failure in staff nurses, even though they will still be accountable in their jobs. And to end up, the empowered nurse gains autonomy and take ownership of the happenings. So nursing empowerment also contributes for job satisfaction, productivity, and higher standards of patient care. So the last slide is another motivational and last motivational video sharing the empowering the heroes on the front line of COVID-19. Please watch.
In times like these, everything comes into perspective. What we thought was important before seems irrelevant now. And what we took for granted all along grows more clear, meaningful, and vital. As we shut ourselves inside for the greater good, we start to see who the real heroes are. The heroes of today aren't wearing capes. They're wearing scrubs and face masks, uniforms and badges. They're out there driving trucks, making deliveries, cleaning our cities, fulfilling orders, and restocking our shelves. They're keeping supply chains moving and making sure our water is still running. So even if it feels like darkness, they bring us the light. They're putting themselves at risk to do what needs to be done, to give us hope, to give us a fighting chance against this. The truth is, the world has overlooked them for far too long. But we know they're not just essential, they're fundamental. And right now, their dedication is the only thing keeping our world spinning. To all of these heroes on the front line, we see you, we hear you, we thank you. And we will do our part to protect you by staying inside, by cheering you from afar, by empowering you to do your best, and by honoring your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. So we see you, we hear you, and we thank you, nurses. So the heroes of COVID-19 continue to work tirelessly and selflessly on the front line of essential businesses. So they are wearing scrubs, face masks, uniforms, and badges. So these are all heroes. Most of them are healthcare workers and you, nurses. So be empowered nurses. That's all. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Sir Christopher, for the informative presentation regarding the empowering nursing practice. Again, if you have any question or clarification to our speaker, you may type it on the Q&A. Jika ada pertanyaan atau klarifikasi yang ingin disampaikan kepada pembicara kita, bisa diketikkan pada bagian Q&A. Here we have two questions, and I guess this one question is addressed to Ibu Lily. Ibu Lily first. Ini ada pertanyaan Ibu from Miss Novalina Langini. May I ask, is it allowed in Indonesia to do online learning for doctoral student?
Okay, thank you. Siapa yang nanya?
Ibu Novalina Langini.
Langini. This is, she is from Philippines. Yes, she is from Philippines. Nova Langini. You don't know?
Kurang tahu Ibu. I don't know.
Okay, until now, we don't have a regulation or we don't have a rule or something like that. Online doctoral. We already have open in the Open University, but the Open University only for the graduate or S1, that is 4 year, and then for master degree. But we don't have a for doctoral degree. Because of that, some of the students from Indonesia, if they want to take a doctoral degree using online or open university, they can take in here in Philippines or another countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu. And now our next question, again from Ms. Novalina Langini, addressed to Sir Christopher. How do you differentiate between empowerment and delegation?
Okay, that's a very good question. So how do you differentiate between empowerment and delegation? So if we say empowerment, it is involvement of nurses, staff nurses in the daily operation in our routine. So it involves coaching, mentoring, giving an example or lead by example. So involvement and appreciation among staff nurses are important. However, there are in delegation, so this is the authority to give legality according to the scope of practice. For example, there is specific type of delegation that you can delegate to the right You can easily delegate the specific task to the right nurses. You can never delegate the task or the responsibility if the nurse is not capable to do that. Okay, that's it.
Thank you so much, sir. Another question addressed to you, sir, from Ibu Sri Wahyuni Awaludin. Ibu Sri Wahyuni Awaludin is from the Health Polytechnic Makassar, one of the lecturer. Also, to Mr. Christopher, thank you very much for nice presentation. Could you share your experience how the Philippines government support for nurses who get infected by the COVID-19 from work?
Okay, so thank you for appreciating my presentation. So the question is how the Philippines government support the nurses we get infected COVID-19 from work. So basically, there's an interim guidelines of Department of Health in here in the Philippines to support the nurses, the healthcare workers. They support by supporting in the hospitalization and giving some benefits that are um, they give enough benefits according to their duties. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Another question, sir, addressed to you. Sir, good morning. How do you empower your burnout nurses because of pandemics? Thank you from Dr. Melba C. Palcon.
Okay, good morning, Dr. Melba Falcon. So, the question is how you empower your burnout nurses because of pandemic. So, we are facing now difficulties because we admit it, we are not all ready to face this kind of pandemics. But the question is how to empower your burnout nurses. You have to talk with them. You have to motivate with them and coach them as well. You have to give them training also in order to fulfill their fear in their duties. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Another question, sir, from Mr. Mohammed B.N. Kulintang. To Mr. Christopher, does communication directly or indirectly affects empowering the staff nurses? How this will positively or negatively affect the individual or staff nurses?
So that is a very good question. Does communication directly or indirectly affects empowering the staff nurses? You know what? Communication, you have as a nurse leader, you have to impose or establish an open line communication. Wherein your subordinates or your staff nurses can address or can raise a specific concern directly to your office. So this is to immediately address the concern of your subordinates in their duties. So how will you positively, negatively affect the individual? So I can say that this is a positively because they show motivation. There's no refusal in to have duties in like in the COVID ward. There's no refusal. So they are equipped. They are all equipped and trained.
Thank you, sir. Another question from Ms. Fariha Nikma Soliha. The requirement of continuing MNP, we should have a minimum 3 to 5 years of clinical practice experience. The question is how to choose a working place and what to do in the working place to fulfill the experience. Thank you.
Okay. For this question, the requirement I think this is a master's degree. So we should have a minimum of 3 to 5 years of clinical experience before enrolling in that master's degree. The question is how to choose working place and what to do in the working place. You have to choose whatever your heart feels. So if you want to have duty bedside nurse or in the clinical practice, so um, you will fulfill your experience on that working environment.
Thank you so much, sir. So I guess, another question
Okay.
from Miss Alfisha Haryakub to Mr. Christopher. Could you share your experience, efforts, what increased empowerment nursing?
Okay, so the question is, can you share experience or efforts what increase empowerment nursing? So for me, you have to appreciate them during your rounds. So as a clinical chief nurse in the hospital, you have to meet them one by one. You have to visit them in the clinical areas. So you have to ask them the concern and you have uh, to ask if there's any concern in their clinical duties which you can help by supporting them.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So I guess no more question for Sir
Okay, thank
Christopher.
you.
Again, we would like to say thank you very much, Sir Christopher from San Antonio Medical Center of Lipa. Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation. And also thank you to all the participants yang sudah turut berpartisipasi, who actively ask questions to Mr. Christopher. Thank you so much. And now we will proceed to our next presenter. Our next presenter, she is a graduate school lecturer from the School of Nursing of the Philippine Women's University, and also a lecturer as well in the College of Nursing of Southville International and Colleges. Ms. Fides F. Adiviso, RNMAN, you may start your presentation.
Okay, good morning. I'm going to share can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, can you see my slides? Yes, okay. So good morning. I'm here to present quality improvement in nursing practice. Okay. Okay. So when an instrument is left inside the patient's cavity, is it quality care? Okay. So at the end of the session, the learner should be able to define what quality is, determine what makes quality nursing care, recognize sentinel events, and familiarize oneself with the 7 steps of quality improvement. Okay. So first, what is quality? Perhaps it would be easier to answer it this way. Okay. What is quality for nasi goreng or tapsilog? Okay. Tapsilog is the Philippine version of nasi goreng. It is made of beef, fried rice, and egg. Okay. So I asked my students. Okay. So what is quality tapsilog? Here are their answers. Not too sweet and not too salty, perfect with vinegar. Okay, it comes with scrambled eggs, sunny side up, top it off with some parsley. Okay, it has a well marinated beef, marinated meat, and the meat is not too dry or too burnt. It has a runny yolk. What else? It's tender and premium quality tapa with achara and spicy vinegar. Achara is pickled papaya. Okay. And here for me, Angus beef has a standard meat, and it's hot garlic fried rice with iced coffee. And it's also affordable and oozing with flavor. Okay, so based on the answers, quality is about characteristics based on the words salty, sweet, and spicy. Okay, it also talks about value or excellence, having said well marinated, premium quality, and standard. Okay, so how about nursing care? What is quality nursing care? Now, this can be more complex to answer, okay? So let's just borrow from the World Health Organization about the definition of quality of care. So, according to WHO, it is the extent to which healthcare services provided to individuals and patient populations improve desired health outcomes in order to achieve this, healthcare must be safe, effective, timely, efficient, equitable, and people-centered. Okay, when we say healthcare that is safe, it means it does not cause harm or injury. Effective means we get the results that we expect. And timely care means the care is received when it is needed. Efficient means there is minimal waste. Equitable care means it does not discriminate, and people-centered care means it respects the patient's values. Okay. However, there are sentinel events reported to the Joint Commission. Okay. Sentinel events, these are events which resulted to, these are unexpected events which resulted to injury or death. Okay. So in 2018, there was a total of 801 sentinel events. Okay. And the top 6 events are these. So 16% is unintended retention of foreign body. This is just like the first picture I showed you. And then next would be fall, which is 15%. Wrong site surgery is 13%. Next would be delay in treatment, 8%. Suicide, 6%. And medication management is 3%. So if you notice, in all these events, nursing care is related. Okay. So what went wrong? What are the causes of wrong site surgery? So according to their root cause analysis, the wrong site surgery were because of unverified documents. Missing documents like consent, the schedule, or test results. Inconsistent site marking, or staff is passive or not empowered to speak up. Okay, so how did this happen? Sometimes forms are not filled up completely, okay? Or some steps are omitted so that there is inconsistency in the procedure. It is also true that when nurses are afraid to speak up, the doctors are not alerted. Okay. How about patient fall? Okay. Some of the causes they found out were inadequate assessment, communication failures, lack of adherence to protocols and safety practices, inadequate staff orientation or supervision, deficiencies in the physical environment, and then lack of leadership. So here, this could happen when there are cases when history taking is incomplete. Sometimes they do not ask for previous conditions or the medications that the patients are taking at home. Sometimes it is also the information is missing in the endorsement or that the Cardex is not updated. Okay. And in some hospitals, there are not enough bars for support or the call bell is not working. Okay. How about for delay in treatment? Okay, some of the causes they found out were the same: inadequate assessment, poor planning, communication failures, human factors such as lapses and cognitive bias, poor scheduling, understaffing, and misdiagnosis. Now, I'd like to point out this understaffing because this has long been a problem. So perhaps we can do something about improvement in processes to solve the problem in the delay in treatment. Okay, so because of this, we need quality improvement. Okay, so what is quality improvement? So quality improvement consists of systematic and continuous actions that lead to measurable improvement in healthcare services and the health status of targeted patient groups. It is also a direct correlation between the level of improved health services and the desired health outcomes of individuals and populations. Okay, quality improvement is also one of the 6 competencies for quality and safety. The other competencies are patient-centered care, teamwork and collaboration, evidence-based practice, safety, and informatics. But for now, in this talk, we will focus on quality improvement. Okay, so we have a model for improvement. Okay, so in this model, there are three questions to ask ourselves. Okay, the first question would be, what are we trying to accomplish? Okay, what do we want? Do we want to happen? Do we want less errors, less overtime, or more time spent with the patient? Okay. The next question would be, what changes can we make that will result in improvement? Okay. So do we need more nurses or more computers? Do we need more time or better scheduling? The third question would be, how do we know a change is an improvement? Okay, so we may look at, or we may ask ourselves, are the costs decreasing or increasing? Are patients more satisfied, or is there less mortality? Okay, so after asking these questions, we may come up with a lot of suggestions, and then we try out the suggestions here in the what they call the trial stage, wherein the changes are planned, it's done in the units, they study it, they measure it, and then they act on it. It's either they implement it or revise it. Okay, this is the plan, do, study, act. Okay, so how to improve? There are actually 7 steps to quality improvement. The first is forming the team, setting the aims, establishing measures, selecting changes, testing changes, implementing changes, and spreading changes. So for the first step, we form the team. Okay, so to establish the team, we need a clinical leader, someone with a technical expertise, a day-to-day leadership, and a project sponsor. Okay, so a clinical leader is someone who understands both the clinical implications of proposed changes and consequences it may bring in other parts of the system. Okay. And then the technical expertise is someone who knows the subject and understands the process of care. The day-to-day leader is someone who drives the project. He makes sure that the project is done, and then she's the one responsible in making sure that the data is collected. And then the project sponsor is someone with executive authority who serves as a link to senior management. Okay. So for example, a quality improvement team in a medical surgical ward may look like this. Okay, the clinical leader being the medical director or physician. The technical expertise will come from the director or nurse manager. Then the day-to-day leadership will be the frontline nurse. And then there can be 2 continuity staff with a cross-organizational view of flow. Okay, someone like an operations engineer or a vice president with management responsibilities. Okay. And then the next step would be setting the aims. Okay. So we should aim for something. Okay, do we aim for safety? That is, do we want to avoid injuries to patients? Do we want to aim for effectivity? That is, matching our care to science. Here we need a lot of research. There's an evidence-based practice. Okay, do we aim for patient-centered care? That is, we want to honor the individual and respect their choice. Do we aim for timely care, that is to reduce delays? And do we aim for efficiency, like reducing waste? And do we want to aim for equitable care, which is closing the gap, the racial and ethnic gaps in health status? Okay, so we have the aim, but we need to write it. Okay. So here are examples of an effective aim statements. Okay. Aim statements should be SMART. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time specific. Okay, when it's specific, it means we target a specific structure, process, or outcome. It is measurable when the data can be collected and analyzed. Okay, and then achievable if it is attainable, and relevant if it's the metric is important or useful to the patient or provider. And then time specific, it means that the data will be available within a reasonable time. Okay, so here are some examples. The first example would be increase compliance to medications by 50% within 3 months. So this is an example of an aim statement regarding safety. Okay, reduce medication documentation errors by 30% within 4 weeks. So this is an example of an aim statement for efficiency. Administer medications within -1 or +1 hour of scheduled due meds. This is an aim statement regarding timeliness. Okay, so now let's go to the next step, which is measuring the change. So how do we know the change is an improvement? Okay, so we can use the Donabidian model for measuring quality of care. Okay. In this model, we have structure measures, process measures, and outcome measures. Okay, when we say structure measures, this is about physical and organizational characteristics where healthcare occurs. Examples of these are the staff-patient ratio or operating hours of service. Okay, in process measures, this is focused on the care delivered to patients. This is about compliance. Compliance, for example, to hand washing, taking the vital signs on time, okay, adhering to proper donning of gown, wearing mask, and using gloves, okay. And then outcome measures. This is about the effect of healthcare on the status of patients and populations. So here we measure the mortality, the morbidity, and hospital stay. Okay, there is another measure which is not included in this model, which is the balancing measures. Balancing measures. This is about the effects of these, the changes that that happen. These are the effects on other things like the cost, the revenues, or admissions. Okay. So now we select the changes. Okay. In selecting changes, we can choose, these are examples of changes. We may want to eliminate waste. We may want to improve the workflow, optimize inventory, change the work environment, manage time, or error proofing. Okay. When we want to eliminate change, these are eliminating activity or resource which does not add value. Okay. For example, advertising. Okay. Advertising may not be of value if your hospital is always full. Okay. There are really a lot of patients. Okay, improving workflow. Example would be to ask, do all patients really need to go through the ER for admission? I remember I took my father to the hospital. We have a doctor's order for admission, but they made us wait in the emergency room for 6 hours. And apparently, I found out that they were waiting for the call of the doctor. Okay, so why do we need to stay in the emergency department where we are exposed with a lot of diseases, and we can wait in the private room? Okay, so that is for the improving workflow. Optimize inventory. Okay, examples are to ask, are all the stocks moving, or there might be expired items already? Okay. How about the change in the work environment? Okay. Do we have a punitive environment such that the nurses are reluctant to report errors? Okay. The nurses may not be able to speak up. Okay. They may be afraid to raise their concerns. Okay. Things like that. Manage time. Manage time means this is about lead times or ordering times for supplies. Okay, we need to know how much time it will take us for the orders to arrive. Okay, so we can schedule it. Okay, and then error proofing. An example to this would be reducing wrong site surgery. Okay, with the use of the surgical safety checklist, we can reduce the wrong site surgery. Okay, now after selecting the changes that we want, we can now test it. As I explained a while ago, we can plan, do, study, and act. So why do we need to do this? We do this because we want to increase belief that the change will result in improvement. Okay, this is the trial stage. Okay, we also want to decide which of the several proposed changes will lead to desired improvement. We also want to evaluate how much improvement can be expected from the change. Okay, it will also help us to decide whether the proposed change will work in the actual environment. And then we need to evaluate cost, social impact, and side effects. But most of all, we want to minimize resistance upon its implementation. Okay, so the next step would be implementing changes. So unlike in the trial stage, implementation is a permanent change. It is a permanent change to the way work is done. As such, involves building the change into the organization. So this can affect the documentation, the policies, the hiring. Okay. For example, in the testing change, there may be 3 nurses on different shifts use a new medication reconciliation and ordering form. Okay, this is about form. Okay, but in the implementing a change, all 30 nurses on the pilot unit begin using the new medication reconciliation and ordering form. Okay, so after implementing it, we need to spread it. Okay, this means replicating the change or package of changes in other parts of the organization. So for example, again, if there are 30 nurses on a pilot unit, successfully implement a new medication reconciliation and order form, then we have to spread. The spread would be replicating this change in all nursing units and assisting them in adopting the change. Okay, so let me share with you a video. Okay, tell me if you can hear the sound.
So why does everybody need to understand the basics of improvement? Well, essentially, we don't really know the answers to our biggest complex quality and safety issues today. And we need to really make sure that we involve everybody in helping us discover solutions to these problems. So everybody needs in their day-to-day practice a way to solve challenges and fix things without needing to ask permission. And the tools of improvement give you a way to do that.
Seeing things through an improvement lens can help you to, instead of continuing to do those workarounds and create additional steps and additional waste, really think about how can I do this differently? What ideas can I try today to make this better for my own work?
Improvement is a skill. It needs practice and refinement over time. It's all the softer stuff around improvement. So how do you influence and engage people? How do you really do this work in practice in the midst of a really busy environment where you're functioning on a day-to-day or minute-to-minute basis, and yet thinking about how do you improve things for tomorrow? That's a skill, and that needs lots and lots of practice to hone and refine.
We're all experts in a certain content area. You might be a nurse or a doctor or a data technician, whatever it is. You have that content knowledge expertise. I think for everyone, it's important to know a little bit of the science of improvement and incorporating that into your daily work, because it can show up in the ways that you look at your data, the way that you think about data, the way that you see the process from a different perspective, like appreciating the system you're working in and thinking about how patients are moving through that system or whoever the customers are. We can bring that into our daily work. And thinking about our own workflows and policies and patient engagement on a different level by having that desire to learn and improve in our everyday.
Okay, so I had a second question with my students. Okay, so I get quality nursing care when, so here are the answers. I get quality nursing care when they show how much they care about the patient by starting a conversation. And how do I feel? And all procedures to be done are professionally executed. Another answer was, okay, has a positive attitude, a person that I can open up about my condition. And the nurse explains the procedure being conducted. Okay. Another student said, when they respect me as a patient and when they make sure that I am satisfied with their care. Okay. Another one said, when all my needs are met and that every procedure or process of medication is with permission and confidentiality. Okay. So how about in your hospital? Are you able to give quality nursing care? So what services or process do you need to improve on? So in summary, we have discussed the following: quality, quality nursing care, sentinel events, and quality improvement. So to end this, let me borrow some quotation from John Ruskin. He said, quality is never an accident. It is always the result of intelligent effort. Improvement usually means doing something that we have never done before. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fredes, for your presentation regarding the quality improvement and nursing practice. And also thank you for sharing us the quality from the view of the patient also. Thank you. And now we have some questions here po.
Okay.
So let's have this first question from Miss Nanda Siti Zuleha to Miss Fides. Anyway, about quality of nursing practice, how effectively virtual nursing courses during pandemic, which is in real life, we need real of clinical and how we are coping that. And also one question again, what are the most challenges as an RN during a pandemic? Thank you.
Okay, so the first question is about nursing courses during pandemic, which is in real life, we need real clinical practice. Okay, I understand that's really a problem. Okay, in last semester, what we tried to do, I handled health assessment. Okay, health assessment. You need to coach, right? You need to coach the students on how to do it. So because of the pandemic, we did online classes. We provided them with what? There are a lot of videos in the internet showing the nursing skills. And so we provided them nursing skill videos, and at the same time the checklist. Okay, they need a checklist to make sure that they do it step by step. Okay, so how was the return demonstration? Okay, we asked them to videotape themselves. Okay, so by showing them how to do it via video, they can they can see it, they can view it over and over until they memorize it, and then until they do it well, and then they video themselves. Now that's the time that we clinical instructors can review what they have done. Okay, so your next question is, oh, what's the other question?
Next question here from
sorry, there's a second question from the same
yes po. The second question is, what are the most challenges as an RN during a pandemic?
Okay, the challenge is keeping yourself safe. You deal with a lot of COVID patients now, and then you don't want to infect also your family when you go home. I think that is the greatest challenge. There's really a lot of sacrifice for our health workers. Okay, what's the next question?
Next question is from Mr. Rodelio Alvarez. What are the factors to consider in improving the workflow in certain hospital among staff?
Okay, factors to consider improving the workflow. Okay, one factor would be to identify the workflow. You have to write down what are the workflows in your area. Okay, there are many workflows. You have to write them one by one, and then be able to identify which is causing the delay. How do you identify the delay? You can measure actually. For example, it takes 8 hours to this 8 hours to do this workflow, and then you can divide it into steps. The first step is 1 hour. The second step is 2 hours. Then from there, you can you can make some changes to minimize, to shorten the time. Okay, so identifying the workflow and then measuring, just like the one I showed in the steps of quality improvement. Okay, another question, please.
Yes, ma'am. From Mr. James Maramis,
Okay.
how do you handle the resistances from the management in implementing the change, especially in improving the quality of care?
Okay, you need to show them data. Okay, you need to show them data. Oh, this is how much accidents that happen. These are the reactions of the patients. They are unsatisfied. Only then can you convince them. Most of all, you have to show them what does it mean, what happens to the cost, what happens to our revenue because of those problems. Okay, you need data. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question is from Miss Celeste Di Makulangan.
Okay.
Good morning. You mentioned Donabedian model in measuring quality care. How are you going to apply the model in the pandemic situation that we are all in, especially giving nursing care?
Okay. So we have a different set of problems now. It's not the ordinary problems that we experienced before. So in a pandemic, what are our problems now? Maybe despite the wearing of PPEs, we still get infected, or because of that, more nurses are getting infected, and they need to quarantine themselves for a while, so that there is a shortage actually of nurses. We still can apply that, because what are the measures? Structure measures, for example, the PPEs. How many PPEs do we need? Process measures. How do we use them? Do we use what? How many masks do we need? Do we need only one? Do we need several layers? Okay, process, structure, and then the outcome measures. What is the outcome? Do nurses still get infected? Okay, are there infections, transfer of infection within the hospital? Okay, so that's my answer.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
We have another question from Mr. James Maramis. Are the nurses in the Philippines experiencing any negative stigma from the communities regarding this COVID-19? Kindly share the best practices to handle this problem.
Okay. Yes. It has caused negative stigma. I remember in the news, one frontliner was thrown with Zonrox bleach or alcohol. So they were thrown in the face. Okay, things like that, or they are asked to leave the apartments because of that. So the way to handle this problem is education. They need to be informed. They act like that because they don't know. But if they are knowledgeable about what's happening, if they are informed, they will not do those things. Okay. Next.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question is from Sir Emilson Vibar. What is the best quality assurance framework that can be applied across all levels of healthcare facilities in order to prevent sentinel events? Why? How do you start to implement this framework?
Quality assurance framework. Okay, there are a lot of frameworks, but from my experience is we need first to train. We need to train the health workers about quality. As mentioned a while ago, quality improvement is a skill. So it is not yet known, and it is not yet practiced in all hospitals, because it starts with education. Actually, a quality improvement subject is already in the master's and doctorate degree. In our school, in the college level, in the BS level, it's not yet taught. Okay, so that's my opinion. Okay, next.
Thank you, ma'am. We have another question from Miss Nova Lina Lanini. In the theme of quality improvement, who is the person that will do the measurement or evaluation? Second, how many times in a year to measure or evaluate the quality of nursing practice?
Okay, so as I presented a while ago, the one who will do the measurement is the one who is involved in the procedure, like the nurses. Okay, and then how many times in a year? It depends. It depends on how many times. Sometimes in a matter of 1 or 2 months, we can already see some improvement going on, so we can already implement it. But if it's a large project, maybe a year or two, because it depends what kind of change you want to implement. Okay. Next, please.
Okay, next question is from Miss Fariha Nikma Soliha. I am a nursing student. The minimum of EBP that are used in my study report is 3 journals that consist of local and international research. The question is, how many sources of EBPs that can be used to plan an improvement? What are the criteria, and is there any tips to choose it?
Okay. There is no particular number as to how many journals are enough. Actually, until you look for journals, until you find that everything is the same already, there's saturation of information. Okay, until the same answers are coming in. Did I answer it well? There's another question. What's the second question?
From Miss Alfi Shahar Yakub to Miss Fides, what obstacle faced in improving the quality of service at your place?
Yes, it's the support of the management, because also we got negative reactions from doctors. Okay, for example, we want to improve documentation, and most of the time we cannot understand the doctor's handwriting. Okay, so we want them to write legibly, and uh, there are some doctors who wouldn't want to change, so that is a problem. We proposed having them type their orders, but then we need to buy more computers and things like that. We need we need software which costs a lot. So those are some of the obstacles that we encountered. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mom.
Yes.
And next question is from Sir Richmond Rivera. Good morning. Now that some hospitals had declared full bed capacity, do you believe nurses should petition to NSO or management to hold admission as far as staffing and nurse to patient ratio is concerned? What can the NSO can do to promote safety both patients and nurses with minimal risk in acquiring the COVID-19?
What is NSO? Sorry, I do not understand. Is this what is NSO? Nursing service? You mean? Do you believe nurses should petition to nursing service office? Do I understand it right? or should petition management to hold admission as far as staffing and nurse to patient ratio is concerned to promote safety. Okay. Of course, there's always a limit to your resources. I think you can only work on with what you have. Okay. It's not good, it's not practical to admit a lot of patients when you cannot care for them at all. Okay. That is my opinion. And that's why the government is already building some facilities outside the hospital because the hospitals are already full. Besides, even if you admit more patients, there are not enough nurses to take care of them. Okay. Next question, please.
And according to Sir Richmond, yes, ma'am, it's nursing service office raw po.
Okay. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so our last question from Sir L. Emilson. How do you explain or describe the relationship between quality improvement and patient safety outcomes?
Okay. The reason why we're doing quality improvement is because we want to improve patient outcomes. Okay. It's not just to increase revenue for the hospital. It is supposed to be for the benefit of the patient. Okay. So what are the outcomes? Morbidity, mortality, right? Okay. So that is the relationship between quality improvement and health outcomes. Okay. Any other question?
No, ma'am. We as of now, no more
Already
questions.
exhausted. Okay.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Fides Adiviso, for your presentation and also for answering the questions from the participants.
Okay,
And
thank you
also
very
thank you
much.
for the participants. And before we proceed to our next speaker, we would like to acknowledge some lecturer from the Health Polytechnic of Makassar, Health Polytechnic of Denpasar as well, and also from other Health Polytechnic from Indonesia, and also the other teachers from Philippines. Also, thank you so much for joining this webinar. And now we will proceed to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Sir Gilbert C. Bagsik, MANRN, from the Division Nurse of the Department of Education, Division Office of Cabuyao. Sir Gilbert, you may start your presentation.
Thank you very much, Ma Mary. I'll share. So first of all, to Dr. Lily Nurlaili, the Attaché of Education and Culture in Indonesia, Embassy here in Manila, to you, Ma Mary, our host and facilitator, and to my guest speaker, resource person, Sir Toffer and Ma'am Fides. A pleasant morning. Salamat pagi. To all the listeners and those who are watching on our live at YouTube, good morning everyone. Salamat pagi. So a blessed morning to all dear nurses, most especially those in Indonesia. So I am Gilbert Sibagsik. I am a division nurse or nurse 2 at the Department of Education here in the Philippines. So the topic or the discussion that was given to me, sorry. Okay. So the topic or the subject that was assigned for me to discuss is the effective study habits for nurses in support of nursing practice. So I believe the audience that will benefit most, especially in this presentation, are those who are still studying, those student nurses, and also those who are in their graduate school studies, who are taking their master's or their doctoral degree. So for the discussion outline, so I will be discussing the challenges of nursing students in clinical learning environment and schools. I will be also discussing the correlation of study habits and academic performance. And after that, I will be discussing the different effective study habits for nurses, conclusion, and my references. So the challenges of nursing students in clinical learning environment and schools. So, but before that, I would like you to take a look at this picture. So does this picture look familiar to you? So to the nursing students out there, so during your first day, I believe you are very excited. You are very excited to see new people, new friends. You're very excited to wear your scrubs or to wear your clinical uniforms. So that is your first day of your nursing school or of your nursing career. And then after that, during the midterms, so you're now asking for sleep. So you need sleep. Okay, and that's during the midterm. And then during the finals, so you look like this, you look like this now. So as if you don't have enough, you don't sleep anymore, you don't rest anymore. So this is just a funny representation of um, the experiences of nursing students. Another picture. So does this picture look familiar to you? So if you're a student nurse, so maybe you have an overdose of books to read. You have already an overdose of cups of coffee daily because you need to stay awake and to read your books, all your materials, because there is an exam that is coming very near. You don't shave anymore, or your back is already aching because you are sitting for a long period of time. So these are the experiences of a nursing student. So the challenges of nursing students in clinical learning environment and schools. So I was able to get a study here. So based on a research by Heath et al. In 2016 titled "The Challenges of Nursing Students in the Clinical Learning Environment: A Qualitative Study," this study concluded that inadequate readiness is one of the major themes that serves as the challenge faced by nursing students. So what is this inadequate readiness? So inadequate readiness is the major theme, and inadequate readiness based on the study has three major sub-themes. First one is inadequate knowledge. The second one is deficient practical skills. And the third one is insufficiently developed communication skills. Now, what does it mean when we say inadequate knowledge? So based on this study, many students did not have the sufficient knowledge to take care at the bedside when dealing with clinical learning environment and providing care to the patient was challenging for them. So, of course, as a nursing student, it is expected for us to have the proper knowledge, the adequate knowledge in order for us to take good care of our patients. So this is one of the findings of the study. There is an inadequate knowledge in terms of readiness. For the second sub-theme, we have deficient practical skills. So according to the research, clinical environment, this is a suitable context for learning skills that is needed to take care for patients. So however, some of them considered basic healthcare skills and any deficit in them affects the quality of care. So in this regard, students had difficulties in performing procedures in some situations due to the lack of necessary skills. Of course, as nurses, so we are expected to be well equipped and well trained in terms of different nursing procedures. So, for example, we have the very basic, for example, the vital signs assessment. We have the common procedures like medication administration if you're in the clinical setup. So, it is expected to us to have these practical skills. But in this study, they were able to determine that deficient practical skills is one of the problem when it comes to inadequate readiness. And for the third sub-theme, we have insufficiently developed communication skills. So according to the study, many students mentioned that lack of communication skills as the reason for deficiency in communicating with the clinical learning environment. So insufficiently developed communication skills sometimes causes disruption in providing care for the patients. So as nurses or as student nurses or as nurses, it is important for us to have this effective communication skills. We should be able to communicate effectively and accurately to our patients. So remember, we are also using the therapeutic communication, wherein we are using ourselves in order to help our clients by communicating with them. So these are the major sub themes that was assessed in this research. So for the conclusion of this study, all challenges identified in this study affected the students in clinical setting. So it is recommended that instructors must prepare their students, and also students must have a focus on achieving their nursing education goals. Now, let's discuss the correlation of study habits in terms of academic performance. So in 2019, Jafari, Aghe, and Katoni conducted a study titled The Relationship Between Study Habits and Academic Achievement in Students of Medical Sciences. So the aim of this study is to determine the relationship of study habits with academic achievement. Is there a relationship? Is there a correlation? So this study concluded that there was a significant relationship between study habits and academic achievement of students. So study habits play an important role in academic achievement and future careers of nurses. So as you can see, the study habits is not limited in terms of until the nurse graduated or until the student nurse graduated, but still it contributes to the future career of that student. So a student must receive training in order to learn or modify their learning habits. So now let's discuss some of the different study habits and tips for nurses. So for those student nurses, those who are still on their undergraduate, and also those who are in the graduate study, so I hope you will listen because these are some of the very practical tips that will help you in your study and also it turn out into nursing practice. So as we all know, nursing school is very challenging. So whether you are a new student or you're a student nurse or you are a seasoned professional nurse in the graduate school program, there are lots of volumes of materials to cover. There are lots of things to study. So the hours of studying to understand it and learning to take care of patients, nursing students have to work hard to stay on top of it all. So I want to share a very brief, very brief lang po. This picture is one of the pictures taken during our doctoral. So we have our professors there, Dr. Nico. He was supposed to be here also. This is also a picture with my classmates during our mental subject. And this is a picture taken during our internship in one of the mental hospital here in the Philippines. So my point here is that in the nursing school, you really have to enjoy yourself. But in order to enjoy yourself, you should be able to have a good study habits in your nursing school. So let's discuss some of the helpful and effective study habits for nurses in support of the nursing practice. So we have study our habit number one. So you have to manage your time. So there is a reason why this is the first important habit to master. It is because this is the most important. So you have to balance your classes. You have to study at home. If you are a working student, you have to work. If you have also family obligations or do you have personal matters, so these take some serious planning. So you really have to plan yourself. You have to plan your activities throughout the day. So you have to break each day into blocks of time. So what does it mean? So break each day into blocks of time and then decide the most important thing for each block. So for example, you need time to sleep. Of course, we really need to sleep. So the question is, will you manage to get 8 hours every day, or you should plan at least for 7? We all know that proper sleep is the foundation of a healthy and stress-free nursing school experience. So you don't have to withhold on it, but you really have to give time for yourself to rest. But also you have to really prioritize all of your activities. So schoolwork is the next most important chunk for nursing school students. So if you're a nursing student in the BSN or in the undergraduate, schoolwork really takes up much of your time. And that is why if you are making a block of time in each day, you really had to allot much of the time for the schoolwork. So you have to establish a routine to follow. Strict scheduling really helps. Okay. So if you're a working nurse, for example, you are a working nurse in the hospital, for example, and then you are taking up your master's or your doctoral. So you really have to balance. You really have to balance your work and then your study and at the same time your personal life. So just to share, we I know we have different strategies, but to share in my own experience, what I do is that I do things as early as possible. So I'm also working. So I make advanced reading or I make tasks or assignments ahead of the deadline, most especially if the professor gave the whole list of tasks for a period of time. So for example, if you're attending a class, so your professor already gave to you all the topics, all the assignments, most especially that we here in the Philippines, most of the graduate school are conducting the studies in terms of online. So we are on the online delivery of learning delivery is online. So most of the time the professors give already the tasks or all the assignments. So what I do is that I make sure that I do things or I do the task as early as possible. Why? Because by doing this, I'm making myself have an extra free time for other tasks that I need to do. So I am making myself one step ahead of the deadline, and also I am not being late for my other tasks. So this is my time strategy considering that I am working and also studying at the same time. So you remember, you don't have to deprive yourself of your physiologic needs, of course, like for example, your sleep or your rest, your food, etc. But you also have to remember that studying is also sacrificing. So you have to give away some of your leisure time. For example, you have your dates or your malls or your movies or etc. So you have to give away some of those time in order to give those time to your studies or your to the tasks at hand. So that is very very important. So habit number 2. So it says here, don't study hard. You have to study smart. So in nursing, you have to understand the concepts of materials or of your books or any resource materials and apply it on real world situations. So I know some people or I know some of my classmates before they cram if there is a test. They cram. They really cram. But at the end, they were able to make it. They were able to pass the test or the examination. But we have to remember that in nursing, you really have to understand those concepts, those things, not only by brain, objectively, but also by heart. Because this knowledge or these things or these ideas or these concepts will be applied into real world situations. So you will be using your reasoning skills in order to apply the right choices in different situations. So in real life situation, there is no A, B, C, or D, or there is no multiple choices. But you will be deciding or you will be making a decision based on your knowledge and based on your ideas or based on your knowledge you gained in your school. So, or also based on your experience. So that is why you really need to study smart. So these ideas will make your study work more effective. So number one, you really have to study effectively. So for example, how do we study effectively? So don't spend 4 hours on something that should really take only 2 hours. Okay? If the topic that you're studying will really only take you 2 hours to finish it, don't study it for 4 hours. Okay? Avoid distraction because sometimes you cannot study more effectively if you have your Facebook or if you have your messenger at your side. It will consume, the distractions will consume most of your time. Okay? At the same time, at the similar manner, you don't have to study 2 hours on a subject or on a concept or on a topic that will really take you 4 hours. For example, you cannot study a very hard subject. For example, medical surgical nursing topic, cardiovascular, neuro, you cannot study it for 1 hour and then you're expecting to master it. It's not possible. Or it may be to some people, but mostly it will not be possible. So you will really have to give time on yourself to study. Okay? So you will realize, you will probably comprehend the material much better, and then you will be able to finish it much faster. So second one is you have to avoid distractions. So when you sit down to study, so you have to put away other books, you have to put away materials or your devices, your phones that you don't need. Okay? So you have to avoid the temptation of checking your text or your social media. Okay? For example, if you are studying on the computer, on the Chrome or any web browser, there are lots of tabs. You're studying on a certain tab, but at the other tab, you are watching a movie. That is a distraction. You will not be able to focus on that. Okay? For example, if you are studying with music, sometimes to other people that will work. But to other people, it will not. It is a noise. It is a form of distraction. So you have to avoid distraction. So the goal here is to make your environment conducive to you for learning. Okay? So it's just a matter of self-discipline. Number three, you review classwork ahead of time. So you have to read through text, or you have to read before getting to the class. Okay? There are few students I know that do it. There are very few that they read ahead of time, because what is the problem is that the students, or most especially those in the grad school, they don't have the luxury of time because they are working, or in some cases they don't give importance on it. Okay, because maybe some students thinks that they are paying for the professors to teach them, but it is wrong. It is the wrong idea. The advantage of doing review ahead of time is that you will have an idea, so you will have the grasp of the topic beforehand, and during the actual discussion of your professor, or of your lecturer, it helps you to easily understand the concepts than just receiving the concept at the same time that your lecturer is giving it to you. So by doing that, it saves you time to study after, and it also saves more brain cells in the end. Remember that. Believe me, you will save more brain cells at the end. Next is practice. Okay? Practice or make practice drills. So when you finish a section of reading, for example, if you are reading a certain subject or a certain concept or topic, you can make practice tests, or you can look for some practice tests or questions and see if you can answer them without your notes, for example. Or for example, if you are tasked to make a presentation or to make a report at the front of the class, or if it's online, face the class or face the computer and show your presentation by Zoom or any other communication means, and then talk or report on it. So what I do is you have to make a mental projection of yourself. You face a mirror, or you ask your friend or your family member, and then you present as if you are presenting in the whole class. Because by doing that, you will have a mental projection or an image of yourself that you are reporting. And then by doing that, you can adjust some of the situation based on the presentation. So you can see on the actual presentation, you will be smooth flowing. So that is also a very good habit of mine also that I do. And last one is you give yourself enough time. So most students underestimate the amount of time it will take to finish, for example, an assignment, or study, or even write a paper. So you just have to be realistic. Okay? You just have to give yourself enough time. But also, you have to be mindful of the amount of time that you are spending. Again, as I have mentioned a while ago, you don't spend too much time on a certain concept or topic or a certain task that will only need much lesser time. Okay? So just give yourself enough time and be mindful about it. Now, for habit number 3, the tip here is ask for help. Okay? You have to ask for help. So this is a tough one because most of us, there is a connotation that if you are asking for help, so it seems like this is a sign of weakness, or this is a sign of failure, but it is not. Okay, seek out someone who has been in your nursing shoes, or a close friend, or that can offer advice or just listen. Because if a person just listen to you, so sometimes it is much more okay if there is someone that is listening to us, to our concerns, to our problems. So it is not bad to ask for help. Okay? So they'll help you get through the difficult spots. And again, remember, it is not negative to ask. And always also remember that asking is also part of learning. Now, habit number 4. So focus and first things first. So focus on one thing at a time. Now more than ever, the millennials, they say, nursing students are multitasking, or the millennials now are multitasking. But the fact is that that almost no one is good at multitasking because we cannot serve two masters at the same time. So you have to try to focus on one thing at a time. So again, you have to eliminate distractions by organizing your study space. Make your environment conducive to you for learning. Okay? If you can learn, if there is a music, then that's good. You make music. You make a calming music, listen to it, and then study. But if it is not, then you turn off the music and then you study. Make your environment conducive to your own learning. Okay? So when you focus on studying, you'll finish faster, leaving more time for example, for catching up your social media and your favorite shows or watching Netflix and other thing. But again, you remember your priorities. Okay? First things first. So for habit number 5, it says here, you make realistic goals and motivate yourself. So what does it mean? So keeping things real and you'll be much more successful in reaching your goals. So for example, you have a task for this week, but you're planning to study an 8 hours, one time big time study for the weekend. So you have to think, you have to analyze, is it possible? Or can you instead aim for 4 hours and make that happen? Or how about setting a daily goal, like for example, at least 1 hour every day and cover a major section or one smaller chapter? So you have to take or you have to strategize. You have to keep things real. So instead of studying one time big time, you can chop those topics into smaller topics so that you will not consume much bigger time during the weekends. Okay? So keeping things real. So it says here, small achieved goals contributes to a bigger goal. Okay? And at the end of the day, people or things around you can trigger or motivate you. For example, your family or your loved ones. But at the end of the day, it is yourself that will make the push or the leap to make it through. So you have to remember that. And then habit number 6, we have to be proactive and take initiatives. So what does it mean? So planning ahead and staying on top of your tasks and activities. So keep track of your pending task and assignment and also take initiative to ask questions from your instructor. So planning ahead and staying on top of your assignments will save you lots of time and prevent a rush to complete everything right before at the end of the term. Because I know my classmates before, they do task 5 minutes before the deadline. I I don't know if that is applicable to them or if that is conducive to them, but for me in my own experience, I do things as early as possible so that I will not cram at the end. Okay? And also, you have to also take initiative to ask questions from your instructors. Why? Because your instructors also have their own standards. Sometimes different instructors or different lecturers have their own standards or preferences. Okay? Some of them have their own formats, they have their own templates. So you have to ask for the different factors that may affect your early completion. So if you have already the format or the template, so you can make the things as early as possible. So that is important. You have to be proactive. So for my last habit or for the last step is we have to follow the principle of delayed gratification and rewarding yourself. So what does it mean? So you set a goal and then after that you reward yourself when you are able to reach it. Okay? So you have to get into the habit of motivating yourself and controlling your behavior by doing something nice for yourself will take you far both in nursing school and in your career. So delay gratification is the act of resisting an impulse to take an immediately available reward in the hope of obtaining a more valued reward in the future. So for example, let's give a scenario. For example, you have to study for today. Okay, you have to study for the weekends, for example, but there is this movie on your phone that has been there for a very very long time that is asking you to open it and watch it. But there is this task at the back of your mind that you have to study because there is this very difficult professor that gives a very challenging quiz or exam, for example. So by delaying if you will be delaying your gratification, if I will be delaying my gratification, I will study right now so that by the weekend, I am free already and can watch that movie in my phone that has been asking me to open it for a long period of time. So that is a simple example of delaying of gratification. But for me, in general, the whole nursing school experience, be it in the undergrad or be it in the graduate school, this is a whole delaying of gratification. Why? Because all the hardships, you have to make your hardship right now so that in the future, after accomplishing everything in the school, you will be reaping the fruits of your labor. Like for example is you will be able to get your diploma, you will be having your first job, you will be having your salaries, you will be promoted, you will be able to serve your patients very satisfactorily, and that is the fruit of your labor, and that is the gratification. Okay, success usually comes down to choosing the pain of discipline over the ease of distraction, and that's exactly what delayed gratification is all about. So for the conclusion, so my recommendation is that you have to make your nursing school experience enjoyable and better. Okay? You have to create good habits that can make nursing school much easier no matter how challenging it can be. There is no question. Nursing is a challenging course. This is a very challenging profession. We handle life. Okay? We in the nursing practice, we handle life, we save lives. But right now, if you're a student, you have to create good habits so that your nursing school experience will be easier, will be enjoyable, and will be better. So always remember those study habits. You have to study smart, you have to manage your time, you have to ask help, that is not bad. You have to be proactive, to take initiative. You have to focus on the task at hand. And of course, you have also to reward yourself. Okay? So these are my references. And before I close or before I end my discussion, I want to leave you this very, very good quote that it says that according to Zig Ziglar, he said that if you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you're not willing to learn, there is no one can help you. Even if there are lots of people that surrounds you, if you yourself is not willing, so no one can help you. But if you are determined to learn, always remember that no one can stop you. So terima kasih, banyak parawat den parawat. Thank you very much, nurses, and from Philippines, keep safe always.
Thank you so much, Sir Gilbert, for sharing your presentation and some of the habits from 1 to 7. Thank you so much, sir. And now we have some questions here po. First, we have question from Ahli Shahar Yakub to Mr. Gilbert. How to cope with students who are lazy to read the textbook, more fun to copy paste from browsing the internet if there is a task given? Plagiarism.
Plagiarism, yes. That is a good question. That is a very timely question because right now we are in this millennial a very advanced technology wherein unlike before we have to Xerox, we have to photocopy those materials, and it is really a challenge for the clinical instructors or for the lecturers. Like for me before, I was also a lecturer at the College of Nursing. I can check when I check the paper or the outputs of the students, I can really say by just reading by plain sight that this study is a copy paste. So as a instructor, or as a lecturer, or as a educator, nursing educator is the correct term. As a nursing educator, what we can do is we really have to motivate. We really have to motivate these students that making a very short or making an easy way to accomplish task is not good. Okay, we have to teach them that we have to give efforts in all the things that we do. And we cannot really avoid the copy paste technique of these students, but at the other side, we can teach them on the other hand how to avoid, for example, the plagiarism, so that they will be taught on how to utilize technology effectively and correctly. That's it, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. We have next question from Mr. Rodelio Alvarez. Because of the pandemic, the nursing student system of learning will definitely be slightly compromised. How could we attain the best and quality nursing student skills in different perspectives relative to their learning?
Okay. Thank you for the question, sir. This is also a very timely question. Since because of the pandemic, the mode of learning and the mode of delivery of instruction is now being given through online. And as I have mentioned a while ago, one of the challenges or one of the challenges that is being faced by the nursing students is the problem of skills. Because nursing is knowledge, skills, and attitude. And without this actual return demonstration, we cannot really assure the skills of this nurse, the skills if the nursing students were able to get the proper skills for that specific procedure. And that is really a challenge for nursing educators. So what we can do here is, for example, is the answer. It was all, I think it is already answered by Mang Fides a while ago, that we can strategize, the nursing educators can strategize on how they can really check if these nurses were able to get the skills by, for example, utilizing also, so since we are utilizing the technology, so we make use of the technology in order to check them. So we can ask them to take a video, we can ask them to show a step-by-step procedure by using a video presentation, or you can also utilize the Zoom or any video conferencing application so that we can see step by step, or by making a drama presentation or a step-by-step presentation on how they can really show if the step-by-step procedure of the different nursing procedures. So that, I think that is, ma'am, if the problem right now is the face-to-face communication of learners, and then what we can do is also utilize the present technology to the best that we can. So since also, ma'am, that I am from the Department of Education, so we all know that there are also several modes of learning that we are utilizing. And in the Department of Education, we are utilizing the online also, but we all know that not all people have the, or not all learners or students have this access to materials or to technologies. And that is why we have also to note in the nursing education side, we have also to note on some of the strategies that we can also check if the students does not have the internet or the gadgets, or any gadgets online. We have also to know and to determine on how to check them. So that's it, ma'am. I hope I was able to answer the question po.
Thank you, po, sir. Um, Another question from Miss Celeste Di Maculangan to Mr. Bagsik. Good morning. In this pandemic situation, education in general is very much affected. In nursing education, skill development and enhancement is paramount in giving quality care to patients. In BS nursing curriculum, related learning experience is affected. What suggestions can you give to nursing students to develop their skills knowing that there is no face-to-face encounter with the faculty?
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for that question. First of all, I would like to greet my professor, Dr. Celeste Di Maculangan. So she's my professor at PWU, PhD in nursing. So hi, ma'am. This is a very, actually, ma'am, this is a very challenging question, no? Because we all know that really education right now is being affected by the pandemic, and the mode of delivery is being hampered by different factors that can affect it. So based on the question, how can we deliver the related learning experiences for these nurses given the fact that there is no patient and they're at their home, or there is no patient that they will take care, um, and they will be utilizing what is available on their hand at their houses. So for me, ma'am, what I can suggest, or what can I recommend here is to use or utilize the video conferencing and also use video presentations of each um, skills, what you call this, to use the video presentations of the nursing procedures. Because if you will just make a random search on YouTube, for example, if you will type the procedure on urinary catheterization, for example, you will be able to get the procedure because there are lots of procedure. But the problem here is that maybe that procedure that was posted on YouTube also was already obsolete, or it may not have the present knowledge or evidence-based practices that being conducted right now. So what I can suggest in this related learning experience is that we have to find good resources that we will give to our students. And from these resources, our students, these are the resources or the materials that they will study. They can make a reenactment of the procedure, and then after that, send it to our professors so that our professors can double check if it is according to the standards of procedure. So I guess that is one of the measures that we can utilize for our nursing student, most especially in this hampered time of delivery of education. So I hope, Dr. Di Makulangan, I was able to answer po your question.
Thank you so much, sir. As of now, if you have any questions again to our speakers, you may type it in the Q&A, or anyone can ask directly, since I guess all our participants now is in the panelist. So if you want to ask directly, you may raise a hand. Bagi peserta kita yang dari Indonesia, jika ingin bertanya secara langsung, kami persilahkan mengangkat tangan dan bisa bertanya langsung kepada pembicaranya. So we're giving another time for the participants if you want to ask some questions to the speakers. From our first speaker until the last speaker, if you would like to ask, just please raise a hand. Okay. Okay, I guess there's no more question. Again, thank you so much, Sir Gilbert, and also to other speakers, from Ibu Lily Nurlaili, to Sir Christopher Nemis, Ma'am Fides Adiviso, and also Sir Gilbert. Thank you so much for sharing regarding the nursing practices. Thank you so much, sir. And also to the participants, thank you so much for attending this webinar or virtual on nursing course. Terima kasih kepada seluruh peserta yang sudah ikut bergabung pada pada program kita pagi ini. And now, before we end this program, we would like to request from Ibu Lily Nurlaili to have a message. I'm sorry, Ibu, still mute. Okay.
Thank you, Mama Net. Terima kasih, Mbak Manet. Thanks all of the speaker, Ms. Fides F. Adivicio, Mr. Gilbert C. Beksik, MNRN, and Mr. Christopher Cenemis. Thank you. You are give opportunity to us to learning about nursing from Philippines, because I know you all the presenter today is a lot of experience, not only in the university, but in the field, especially in the hospital or society. And I hope your material today is valuable for the nursing Indonesia and nursing Philippines. And we can make more collaboration. What happened and what the nursing Indonesia, what they must to do to make they are fill up or they are rising nursing look like in Philippines. Okay, and thank you for all participants until today is Bapak Dewa Putu Gede. Halo. Thank you, Pak Dewa, coming here. And then all of participants from Philippines and Indonesia too, from Makassar, from Pak Wahyu Hidayat, and everybody. For the certificate, you just open the link. We already put link of certificate and link of the material. If you have any question, not hesitate, and then just talking and then send to VR email. We are just open everything about nursing because we are care, we are more open-minded about nursing in here and then nursing in Philippines. Thank you very much. And then I hope today you have a lot more experience, a lot of more knowledge about nursing, and then you can implementation at your daily life, and then you are hospital or your university. Thanks, and then have a nice day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Terima
Thank you
kasih.
so much, Ibu Lily. Again, we would like to inform everyone, for those who are asking regarding the e-material, we already post the link in the chat box, and also the certificates for the participants. Just follow the link for the certificates and also for the materials. Again, we would like to say thank you very much to all the speakers and also to our participants from Indonesia and Philippines. Thank you so much for attending this program. Again, have a nice day and thank you so much.